Picture this. Two people sit across from each other at a cafe. One earns $150,000 a year working at a prestigious tech company. The other makes $70,000. You'd naturally assume the first person is living better, right? But here's the twist. The person making less is driving a newer car, taking international vacations twice a year, and just put a down payment on their second property. Meanwhile, the six-figure earner is living paycheck to paycheck, stressed about bills, and can't remember the last time they felt financially secure. How is this possible? The answer lies in something most people completely misunderstand about money. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep, how your money moves, and what it does while you're sleeping. Welcome to the reality of 2026, where cash flow has become the ultimate measure of financial success, and salary is just a number on a contract that might be deceiving you about your actual wealth. Let's start by clearing up a fundamental confusion that keeps millions of people trapped in financial mediocrity. Salary is what your employer promises to pay you over the course of a year. It's the figure that looks impressive on your offer letter and makes your parents proud at family dinners. Cash flow, on the other hand, is the actual money moving in and out of your life after everything is said and done. It's what remains after taxes, after your rent or mortgage, after your car payment, after your student loans, after your subscriptions, after your groceries, after your insurance, after your childcare, after everything that modern life demands from you. And in 2026, the difference between gross salary and actual cash flow has never been more dramatic or more critical to understand. According to recent data from the Federal Reserve, the average American household now spends approximately 83% of their after-tax income on essential expenses and debt payments. That means even households earning well into six figures often have less than 17% of their income available for savings, investments, or wealth building. But here's where it gets interesting. The people who have figured out how to generate positive cash flow from multiple sources, even if their primary salary is modest, are building wealth at rates that would have seemed impossible a generation ago. They're not waiting for annual raises or promotions. They're creating systems where money flows to them while they work, while they sleep, and while they're doing literally anything else. The traditional career path that dominated the 20th century was beautifully simple. You got a good education, landed a solid job with a reputable company, worked your way up the ladder, and your increasing salary would naturally translate to increasing wealth. Your parents probably believed this, your grandparents definitely did, but that economic reality has fundamentally shifted, and 2026 is making this clearer than ever before. The cost of living has outpaced salary growth across nearly every major metropolitan area in the developed world. Housing costs have surged to the point where the median home price in major U.S. cities is now 6 to 10 times the median household income, compared to roughly 3 times in the 1980s. Healthcare expenses for a family with employer-sponsored insurance now average over $24,000 annually when you combine premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket costs. Higher education debt averages over $37,000 per borrower, with many professionals carrying six-figure student loan balances that take decades to repay. What this means practically is that someone earning $100,000 in 2026 has roughly the same purchasing power and wealth building capacity that someone earning $60,000 had in the year 2000. Once you adjust for inflation and the increased cost of essential expenses, the salary number went up, but the actual financial freedom it provides went down. This is the trap that catches so many high earners by surprise. They reach the income level they always dreamed of, only to discover they still feel financially stressed, still live paycheck to paycheck, and still can't understand why wealth feels so elusive. Now contrast this with the cash flow approach to building wealth. Instead of focusing exclusively on climbing the salary ladder, people who prioritize cash flow are asking completely different questions. They're asking how they can create income streams that don't require them to trade their time directly for money. They're asking how they can structure their lives to minimize the fixed expenses that drain their accounts every month. They're asking what assets they can acquire that will generate passive income. And most importantly, they're asking how they can get their money working for them instead of the other way around. Let's talk about what this looks like in practice. Take rental properties as an example. According to data from real estate analytics firms, a single well-chosen rental property in many markets can generate between $300 and $800 per month in positive cash flow after all expenses including mortgage, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and property management fees. That might not sound life-changing, but consider this. That cash flow comes in every single month whether you show up to work or not. It comes in when you're sick. It comes in when you're on vacation. It comes in when you decide to take a career break or switch industries. And if you can build a portfolio of just 3 to 5 properties over 10 years, you're potentially looking at $2,000 to $4,000 per month in passive income. That's $24,000 to $48,000 per year that has nothing to do with your job, your boss, your performance review, or the stability of your industry, or consider dividend-paying investments. The S&P 500 currently has an average dividend yield of around 1.5 to 2%. That might seem small, but on a portfolio of $500,000, which is absolutely achievable for someone who prioritizes saving and investing over decades, that's $7,500 to $10,000 per year in dividend income. And unlike salary, this income typically benefits from preferential tax treatment as qualified dividends. More importantly, these dividends tend to grow over time as companies increase their payouts, meaning your cash flow increases without you doing anything additional. The digital economy has opened up even more cash flow opportunities that didn't exist 20 years ago. Online businesses generating income from digital products, courses, memberships, or affiliate marketing can create substantial cash flow with relatively low overhead expenses. A content creator with 50,000 engaged followers across platforms can generate anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 per month through various monetization strategies. A software developer who creates a useful app or tool can generate recurring subscription revenue. Someone with expertise in a particular field can create and sell online courses that generate sales 24 hours a day without their direct involvement. There's also the question of risk and security, which takes on new dimensions when you understand cash flow. A high salary from a single employer is actually a concentrated risk that most people don't recognize until it's too late. If that employer decides to downsize, if your industry faces disruption, if you have a health issue that affects your ability to work, or if you simply decide you hate your job and want to make a change, that entire income stream disappears. We've seen this play out dramatically in 2024 and 2025 with massive layoffs across the tech sector, where people earning $200,000 or more suddenly found themselves with zero income and minimal savings because they had structured their entire financial lives around that single salary. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room. Some of you are thinking this all sounds great, but you need a high salary to generate cash flow in the first place, right? You need money to buy rental properties, to build investment portfolios, to start businesses. And that's partially true. But here's what the people who successfully build cash flow understand that others miss. You don't need to be rich to start. You need to be intentional. You need to prioritize differently than the typical high earner does. The typical trajectory for someone who gets a salary increase is to immediately inflate their lifestyle. They move to a nicer apartment or buy a bigger house. They upgrade their car. They eat out more. They take more expensive vacations. They subscribe to more services. This phenomenon, called lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep, is the silent killer of wealth building. It's why doctors and lawyers and executives making $300,000 a year often have the same or less net worth than teachers and government employees earning $70,000 who lived below their means and invested the difference. Now, let's talk about 2026 specifically and why this matters more than ever right now. We're living through a period of unprecedented economic uncertainty and transformation. Artificial intelligence is disrupting knowledge work in ways that will fundamentally reshape the job market over the next decade. The jobs that seem secure today might not exist in 5 years. Industries that appear stable today might look completely different tomorrow. Entire career paths that people spent 6 figures on education to pursue are being automated or dramatically changed. In this environment, having all your financial eggs in the single basket of salary from employment is extraordinarily risky. Building cash flow is not just about wealth. It's about survival. It's about adaptation. It's about ensuring that you and your family can weather the storms that are inevitably coming. The people who have built diversified cash flow streams will be able to take risks, pivot to new opportunities, invest in retraining, or simply weather periods of industry disruption without financial panic. So here's my challenge to you as we wrap up. Stop asking yourself what salary you need to feel successful and start asking what cash flow you need to feel free. Calculate the minimum amount of money you need every month to cover your essential expenses and live comfortably. That number is your freedom number. Now ask yourself what combination of assets, businesses, and investment income would be required to generate that monthly cash flow. That becomes your target. And then structure every financial decision you make around moving closer to that target. And drop a comment below telling me which cash flow strategy you're most interested in learning about. Rental properties, dividend investing, online businesses, other passive income ideas. Your feedback directly shapes the content we create, and I want to make sure we're covering what matters most to you. Remember, in 2026 and beyond, your salary is just the beginning of the story. Your cash flow is how that story ends. Make sure you're writing an ending where you're free, secure, and in control of your financial destiny. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.